There are 118 known chemical elements. While we require some of them in order to survive, others are downright nasty. What makes an element bad? There are three broad categories of nastiness. Radioactivity. The obviously dangerous elements are those which are highly radioactive. While radioisotopes can be made from any element, you do well to steer clear of any element from atomic number 84, polonium, all the way to element 118, oganescent, which is so new it was only named in 2016. Toxicity. Some elements are dangerous because of their inherent toxicity. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency (EPA) defines a toxic chemical as any substance which can be considered harmful to the environment or hazardous to health if inhaled, ingested, or absorbed through the skin. Reactivity. Some element polonium is one nasty elements present a risk due to extreme reactivity. The most reactive elements and compounds can ignite spontaneously, or even explosively, and generally burn in water as well as in the air. Number 1. Polonium is one nasty element. Polonium isn't much worse than any other radioactive element, until it gets inside your body. Polonium is a rare, radioactive metalloid that occurs naturally. Of all the elements on the list, it's the one you're least likely to encounter in person unless you work at a nuclear facility or are a target for assassination. Polonium is used as an atomic heat source, in anti-static brushes for photographic film and industrial manufacturing, and is a nasty poison. Should you happen to see polonium, you might notice something is a bit off about it because it excites molecules in the air to produce a blue glow. The alpha particles emitted by polonium-210 don't have enough energy to penetrate the skin, but the element emits a lot of them. 1 gram of polonium emits as many alpha particles as 5 kilograms of radium. The element is 250,000 times more toxic than cyanide. So, 1 gram of Po-210, if ingested or injected, could kill 10 million people. Former spy Alexander Litvinenko was poisoned with a trace of polonium in his tea. It took 23 days for him to die. Polonium is not an element you want to mess around with. Number 2. Mercury is deadly and omnipresent. There's a good reason you don't often find mercury in thermometers anymore. While mercury is located right next to gold on the periodic table, you can eat and wear gold, you'd do best to avoid mercury. Mercury is a toxic metal that's dense enough that it can be absorbed into your body directly through your unbroken skin. The liquid element has a high vapor pressure, so even if you don't touch it, you absorb it via inhalation. Your biggest risk from this element isn't from the pure metal, which you can readily recognize on sight, but from organic mercury that works its way up the food chain. Seafood is the best known source of mercury exposure, but the element is also released into the air from industries, such as paper mills. What happens when you meet up with mercury? The element damages multiple organ systems, but the neurological effects are the worst. It affects memory, muscle strength, and coordination. Any exposure is too much, plus a large dose can kill you. Number 3. Arsenic is a classic poison. People have been poisoning themselves and each other with arsenic since the Middle Ages. In Victorian times, it was a poisoner's obvious choice, however, people were also exposed to it as it was used in paints and wallpaper. In the modern era, arsenic is not useful for homicide, unless you don't mind getting caught, because it's easy to detect. The element is still used in wood preservatives and certain pesticides, but the greatest risk is from groundwater contamination, most often resulting when wells are drilled into arsenic-rich aquifers. It's estimated that 25 million Americans and as many as 500 million people worldwide drink arsenic-contaminated water. In terms of public health risk, arsenic may well be the worst element of all. Arsenic disrupts ATP production, the molecule your cells need for energy, and causes cancer. Low doses, which may have a cumulative effect, cause nausea, bleeding, vomiting, and diarrhea. A large dose causes death, however, it's a slow and painful demise that usually takes hours. Number 4. Francium is dangerously reactive. All of the elements in the alkali metal group are extremely reactive. If you put pure sodium or potassium metal in water, the result will be a fire. The reactivity increases as you move down the periodic table, so cesium reacts explosively. Not much francium has been produced, but if you had enough to hold the element in the palm of your hand, you'd want to wear gloves. The reaction between the metal and the water in your skin would make you a legend in the emergency room. Oh, and by the way, it's radioactive. Number 5. Lead is the poison we live with. Lead is a metal that preferentially replaces other metals in your body, such as the iron, calcium, and zinc you need to function. In high doses, lead exposure can kill you, but if you're alive and kicking, you're living with at least some of it in your body. There's no real, safe, level of exposure to the element, which is found in weights, solder, jewelry, plumbing, paint, and is a contaminant in many other products. The element causes nervous system damage in babies and children, resulting in developmental delays, organ damage, and reduced intelligence. Lead doesn't do adults any favors either, affecting blood pressure, cognitive ability, and fertility.